Before we step into John 4, we need to see a pattern that runs through every gospel because God never reveals his son randomly. There's a rhythm to it, a consistency, a kingdom pattern. In Matthew, Jesus is revealed first to John the Baptist, a prophet outside the religious system. In Mark, the first being to recognize him is a demon. The spiritual realm sees what humans miss. In Luke, the first person to receive revelation is Mary, a humble, marginalized young woman from Nazareth. And in John, the first person Jesus explicitly reveals himself to is a Samaritan woman, a descendant of Jacob, rejected by Israel, but chosen by God. The pattern is unmistakable. God reveals his son first to the humble, the overlooked, the rejected, the spiritually hungry, never the powerful or the religious elite. And nowhere is that clearer than in John 4. Welcome back to By What Authority. I'm your host, Raymond Ibarra, and this is where we open up the scriptures to recover clarity, conviction, and the authority of Jesus in a world that's lost its way. Today's episode is titled The Gift of God. John tells us Jesus had to pass through Samaria, not because it was the shortest route. Jews avoided Samaria, not because he was hiding from the Pharisees. The text never says that. He had to, because the Father sent him there. And here's what tradition never teaches: Samaritans are not foreigners, they are relatives. They share Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They share the Torah, they share the covenant story. The division was not created by God, it was created by culture, history, and pride. Jesus walked straight into a man made division to restore a God made family. He sits at Jacob's well at noon, and a Samaritan woman comes to draw water. Tradition says she came at noon because she was ashamed. The text never says that. Tradition says she was immoral. The text never calls her that. Tradition says Jesus exposes her sin. The text shows Jesus revealing himself. Jesus begins with a simple request: give me a drink. She's shocked, not offended. How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? She's naming the division. Jesus is about to heal it. He answers her with a line tradition rarely emphasizes. If you knew the gift of God, he doesn't begin with her past, he begins with the gift. He begins with grace. He begins with revelation. And right here is where the Spirit presses a question into us. Where have I settled for drawing from old wells when Jesus is offering living water? She pushes back, but not in ignorance. She asks one of the most important questions in the chapter: are you greater than our father Jacob? That's not small talk. That's not confusion. That's a messianic question. She knows her covenant story. She knows her lineage. She knows her theology. She's asking, who are you really? And here's the question that confronts us: do I see people the way Jesus sees them, or the way culture taught me to see them? Jesus says, go call your husband. Tradition reads this as shame, but in that culture, women didn't choose husbands. Women didn't initiate divorce. If she had five husbands, it means five men either died or rejected her. She's not immoral, she's wounded, she's discarded, she's unseen, and Jesus doesn't shame her. He reveals that he sees her fully and still offers her the gift. And that leads us to another moment of reflection. What would change in me if I believed Jesus sees everything and still offers himself? She shifts to worship, not to dodge the topic, but because she realizes she's speaking to a prophet. She asks the central question of her people: where do we worship? On this mountain or in Jerusalem? Jesus answers with one of the most important revelations in Scripture. The hour is coming, and now is, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, not on a mountain, not in a temple, not in a system, not in a location, in spirit, in truth, in Him. Then she says, I know the Messiah is coming, and Jesus gives her the first explicit self revelation in the entire gospel. I who speak to you am He. Not to Nicodemus, not to the disciples, not to the crowds, not to the Pharisees, to her, a Samaritan woman, a descendant of Jacob, a member of a rejected people, the first evangelist in John's gospel, the first person Jesus reveals himself to plainly. She leaves her water jar, the symbol of her old life, and runs into the city saying, Come, see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Christ? And the city believes, not because of her past, because of her testimony, because of his revelation. And here's the question that meets us in that moment. What am I still carrying that Jesus has already replaced with living water? And who might believe if I stopped hiding the places Jesus met me? Then Jesus teaches his disciples, You say 4 months until harvest. I say the fields are white right now. The disciples saw Samaritans as outsiders. Jesus saw them as harvest. And here's where John 4 turns onto the church. If Jesus reveals himself first to the people religion rejects, then what does that say about the way we treat the wounded, the overlooked, and the ones we've labeled other? Where have we built walls Jesus is walking through? Where have we divided what God calls family? The Samaritan woman wasn't the problem, the division was. And if the church today is still dividing people God is trying to reach, then we are standing on the wrong side of the well. John 4 is not about shame, it's not about scandal, it's not about a sinful woman, it's not about moral lessons, it's about revelation, identity, worship, and mission. It's Jesus restoring a family Israel rejected. It's Jesus revealing himself to the humble before the proud. It's Jesus breaking man-made divisions to reveal a God-made kingdom. It's Jesus offering the gift of God to someone the world overlooked. And it's Jesus showing us the pattern. He reveals himself first to the ones religion ignores. This is By What Authority? Until next time, stay rooted in the Word, stay surrendered to Jesus, and walk in the authority He's given you. Grace and peace.